The river was silent. The morning Moremi walked to the bank, not the gentle silence of dawn, not the peaceful quiet of fish sleeping beneath cool water. This was a different silence, the kind that makes birds forget how to sing, the kind that makes even the wind hold its breath. The fishermen found their nets empty. 3 mornings in a row. The water that had always healed the sick had lost its power. And the elders, the ones who still remembered the old ways, looked at each other and whispered only 2 words. Osun is angry. Long before your grandmother's grandmother was born, the city of Oshogbo, in the heart of Yoruba land, had a secret. Her secret was not buried in the ground, not hidden in a palace, not locked behind the doors of powerful men. Her secret ran through the middle of the city, dark and deep and alive, the Osun River, and living inside that river, or perhaps living as that river, was Osun. Goddess of fresh water, goddess of fertility and love, goddess of healing and feminine wisdom. One of the most powerful orishas in all of Yoruba tradition. The Yoruba people knew that Osun was not a distant deity you prayed to from a safe distance. She was a living, feeling presence. She celebrated when her people celebrated. She grieved when they grieved. She gave generously when she was honored, and when she was forgotten, she noticed. Osun always noticed. The city of Oshogbo had grown. Where once there were only footpaths through sacred forest, now there were roads. Where once small mud compounds sat with careful distance from the river's edge, now there were bigger structures pressing closer and closer to the water. The city was moving forward, building upward, reaching outward, and in all that moving and building and reaching, the old rhythm had been broken. The morning prayers that fishermen had spoken to the river every day for 7 generations, shortened, then forgotten. The festivals where women poured honey into the current, celebrated still, but as performance now, not true prayer. The river noticed all of it, and slowly, the river began to withdraw herself, not all at once, not dramatically. The way a person who feels deeply disrespected does not always shout. Sometimes they simply begin to leave. But there was one person in Oshogbo who had never stopped speaking to the river. Her name was Moremi, 10 years old, curious about everything, brave in the quiet way that is braver than loudness. Every single morning, before the city woke up, Moremi came to the river, not to fetch water, not to wash, not to ask for anything, just to talk, the way you talk to a friend you trust completely.
Good morning, Osun. You look different today, quieter than usual. Are you tired? I feel tired too. My father says the nets were empty again this morning. He pretends he's not worried, but I can see it in his face. I do not know what is happening to the river. But I am here. I always come. I just want you to know I have not forgotten you.
The morning everything changed began before sunrise. Moremi woke from a dream she could not remember, but the dream had left her heart beating fast and her feet already moving before her mind had fully arrived.
Why am I awake? What is pulling me? Something is wrong. Something is at the river.
The river was still, not slowed, not gentle, still, the way only death is still. The surface flat and perfect as polished ebony, reflecting a sky full of stars in the dark water below. No current, no sound, no movement.
What has happened to you?
And then she appeared, standing in the center of the river, not beside it, not at its edge, standing on the water itself, as though the surface was solid ground beneath her feet. She was magnificent in the way that storms are magnificent. Her skin, the deep warm brown of river clay, glowing from within. Her eyes, golden, not yellow, not amber, golden. Her robes, deep yellow and amber and the warm orange of sunset. Around her neck and wrist, brass jewelry, cowrie shells, the ancient adornments of Yoruba feminine power. She was the most terrifying and the most beautiful thing Moremi had ever seen, and her golden eyes were looking directly at Moremi.
You are the one who still greets me in the mornings. Close your mouth, child. I did not come here to watch you catch flies.
You are Osun.
I am Osun. I am the river you have been talking to every morning for 4 years. I am the water your grandmother's grandmother prayed to. I am the reason this city exists at all. Because before there was Oshogbo, before there was any human settlement here, there was me. I need you to understand something, Moremi. I am leaving. I am leaving, Moremi. The people of this city have forgotten how to speak to me when they do not need anything. I am asking to be greeted in the morning, not because the nets are empty, but simply because I am here. Because I have been faithful to this city for longer than your people have kept records of their own history.
They forgot to say thank you. Even when everything was good, they forgot.
A relationship fed only by crisis is not a relationship. It is a transaction.
I will tell them. I promise you, I will make them remember.
Go now, River Girl. Go and remind them.
When Moremi looked up through her tears, the river was empty. Just water again. Moving water, she noticed with flooding relief. The current had returned, soft and dark and quiet, catching the first grey light of the approaching dawn. In her hand, a small smooth stone, the color of river clay. It did not glow anymore, but it was warm in a way that had nothing to do with her body heat. And she understood. Some things you carry not in your hands, but in your chest.
You have seen her.
She's leaving Yagbab. She says the people have forgotten how to speak to her in ordinary times.
How many more, child?
She wants to be remembered when nothing is wrong. She gave me this and said I must remind them.
I have been keeping the old prayers alive alone for 30 years, waiting for someone young enough to carry them forward. Come inside, child. I am going to teach you every word.
3 days later, Oshogbo came to the river, not because the fish had disappeared, not because the water had stopped healing, not because anything had gone wrong. They came because a 10-year-old girl had walked through their streets with a stone in her hand and a story in her mouth. And the story had reached something old and quiet and true inside every person who heard it. The oldest woman in the city led them in words that had not been spoken aloud in 30 years. And Moremi stood at the front and she said the words too. The same words she had been saying alone every morning for 4 years, while everyone else forgot. They poured honey into the current. Yellow flowers floated on the surface. Palm wine. Prayers spoken in the old language. Offerings not asked for by crisis, but given freely out of love and memory and gratitude. And then, deep beneath the surface of the Osun River, something golden began to glow. Not from the sun, not from a lamp, from below, from within. Warm and breathing and alive, like a heartbeat returning to something that had been very still. Osun had not left. She had only been waiting to be remembered. Osun did not ask for grand gestures. She did not demand elaborate ceremonies or expensive offerings. She asked for something much simpler and much harder. She asked to be remembered when nothing was wrong. There is a teaching in Yoruba tradition. A relationship fed only by crisis is not a relationship, it is a transaction. You call on the river when the fish disappear. You call on your ancestors when you are sick. You call on the divine only when you need something. Osun's request was this: speak to me in the ordinary mornings. Greet me when everything is fine. Remember me when you do not need anything from me. This is not just a teaching about rivers or goddesses. It is a teaching about every relationship worth keeping. Your parents, your elders, your community, your own roots. How many rivers in your own life have gone silent? not because they abandoned you, but because you only came to them when you needed something. Moremi remembered, and the river stayed. Next time, we leave Oshogbo, travel far, across forest and ocean and time itself, following the most clever, most cunning, most impossible to catch creature in all of African storytelling. He is small, he has 8 legs, he has outsmarted gods, stolen stories from the sky itself, and somehow ended up on the other side of the world. You think you know Anansi, you have heard his name, but you have not heard what he did before he became famous. You have not heard the story he never wanted told. That story is next. Subscribe and do not miss it.